Right guys, welcome everyone. This is the start of a new series. It's called Mini Races. I will be having races to 3 against people, lagging off. My first opponent is Mr. Dan Hemphill. Frame 1, Dan will break. Unfortunately doesn't get a ball, so he leaves me the table to go at, and I'm going to take reds. Now, for me, the whole finish here is about the red at the top of the table. I had a look a couple of times throughout the finish, and I'm not sure if it 100% goes, but I kind of thought, anyway, I'll get an angle on another ball and go into it anyway if I don't think it does go. But the more you start going throughout your finish, you reduce the amount of balls that you've got to be able to do that. So I kind of put all my eggs in one basket here, going off the cushion into the yellow, and I've got a nice angle now, but I kind of convinced myself that it went. So I'm going to play it with, I've got to turn it over but play it with reverse side at the same time to get down on the black, and unfortunately I ended up missing it. So now Dan's going to come to the table. First frame, you always want a nice clearance like this, really, especially now that red's at the bottom of the table. It just gives him a little bit of freedom to relax, get a frame on the board and settle into the game properly. I didn't expect to come back to the table here, especially with a player of Dan's standard. This is just a formality. I always say that for a good player, these frames really are like 95% frames. It's very rare. You might get the odd 5% where you run out of position, have to play a snooker, and then your opponent ends up fluking it, but not in this case. 1-0 to Hempy. Let's get into the next frame. Frame 2, me to break. I'm stood there hoping, and I do get a ball. I apologise because it's the last ball rolling. So I'm going to play the red here. Kind of decelerated a little bit there, didn't quite get into it, so I'm going to have to reroute and take the red into the middle now. Now I want to take the one into the top left and come into an area where I wanted to play the one into the right middle next, but I don't land on it nice enough to be able to play the one into the left middle after. So I'm going to have to come down the table and come back up for it afterwards. So drop this one in, a little bit Chinese snookered, so it's a difficult shot. Now I want to come up the side of the table with right hand side and leave the red available into the top right. Actually get a little bit fortunate here. Early doors, I think maybe a little bit of nerves. Didn't play it very cleanly at all, and I ended up getting it off the yellow. Black into the top. Stroked in nicely. That's 1-1, guys. Next frame. I went to go for a finish here, and then this yellow doesn't really go. So I've decided to cover the bag, thinking that Dan wouldn't be able to take the clearance out from here. This is pretty tough, but he's dropped a red in and left a nice angle on the red in the middle and played a cracking shot to develop his ball. Now he wants to play this and come out into the... He wants to be able to play that red into the right middle, but again, he's left himself a funny angle, so another cracking shot here. Screws off the cushion. Lovely reaction off the cushion in this cloth. Leaves himself a lovely angle to roll through. And again, take out a really nice finish. And that's 2-1 to Dan. I'm right under it. I'm under pressure here. So Dan, in the next frame, decides to go for a finish here on yellows. I think we were kind of and ahhing a little bit at the start of the frame. None of us really wanted to go for any specific colour. Dan decided to take the risk and go first with yellows. Plays this here and tops onto the yellow so that he can create an angle on the other yellow to be able to come down the table. Really smart shot. And now he's got really small margin of error to play with. He wants to come off the bottom cushion and come in between that gap between the yellow and red. And he puts a little bit too much right hand side on it, as you can tell by his reaction. Slightly disappointed, but he's going to try and I don't know whether he went for the double or the cock tap there, but he didn't get it anyway. So a little bit tricky. First up, I'm going to play a safety, cover the pocket up there and leave Dan nothing. And Dan plays a really nice shot here to get out of it with a right-hand side. I don't really have a safety available, so I need to pot a ball first. Tried removing that one and it landed a little bit tricky for me again, so nothing wrong with this. I'm just going to play another safety, make sure that there's very little for Dan to go for. It's a tad risky because when you let someone back to the table, they can fluke something. Fortunately for me, he got a little bit unlucky here. Went off the yellow, went off the red and went in, which gives me one free shot and then one visit after. I promote my red over the right middle, and now really it's just all about going about my work and keeping a good cue ball. So I'm going to play this off the cushion to play the red into the top left, and it just opens up the little route for me. I'll then take the one over the top middle, the one over the top right pocket, then the one over to the left middle, and then the one into the bottom left and the black. As you can see it all unfold, the pattern becomes much more easier to see. Played this with a little bit of top right off the bottom cushion, just so I can get close to the black. Just so that I didn't have to play it in the top right. And that is 2-all, guys. Decider. So similar frame again here. I think we were... none of us really wanted to go for the finish. We couldn't see a ball that we wanted to pot, so I've played like a little bit of a containing safety here, and Dan is again, which is normally the case, ends up going for the risky shot first, misses his cut, and he leaves me potential at reds. So I've played this delicate shot, bumped into the yellow perfect. Now I'm going to play this red. I'm going to have to come across the table to play the red into the left middle now. I can't come up the table because of his yellow there being next to the cushion. So I'm going to play this now with left-hand side, and I just want to bump his yellow to the left-hand side. I've got one option now, and that's to play this red into the left middle with running left-hand side and try and get on my other ball into the middle. A little bit of a fortunate kiss there. I'm now going to play this red into the middle with a right-hand side so it checks up off the bottom cushion. And then I've got a tough red into the top right, and I need to bring it back a couple of inches for a black into the middle. And I've cued it like a dream. Drop a nice black in, guys. And I wanted a decider. 3-2. Come on, the pool coach. Cheers, guys.